What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, with another edition of When, Where, Pick, and Dare, where I pick games for the various games that are occurring tomorrow. Whether it's football, baseball, basketball, basically whatever games I want to pick, I will pick them. With all that being said, on with the video. MLB. So, first game, Philadelphia Phillies versus Chicago Cubs. So, Phillies have a 29.8% chance to win. The Cubs have a 70.2% chance to win. So, for pitchers, you know, Walker for the Phillies has a ERA of 2.29, a WHIP of 1.17, and Reed for the Cubs has an ERA of 1.32 and a WHIP of 1.1. And this is at Chicago, so pitching and home field are both in the advantage of the Cubs, so I think the Cubs will beat the Phillies tomorrow. All right, Boston Red Sox versus Cleveland Guardians. So Boston has a 46% chance to win, and the Guardians have a 54% chance to win. This is at Cleveland. For pitchers, Houck for the Red Sox has an ERA of 7.66 and a WHIP of 1.66. And Lively for the Guardians has an ERA of 3.86 and a WHIP of 1.25. So yeah, the ERA for the Boston's pitchers sucks. Now it's early in the season, could have effect maybe, but that's a bad ERA. Lively's, you want below 3. It's a fine ERA. You definitely want below 4. A lot of people rather be below 3, but you know, Lively's ERA is fine. It's decent. While his Houks sucks, and this is at Cleveland, so Guardians are beating the Red Sox tomorrow. All right, the Texas Rangers versus San Francisco Giants. So Rangers have a 49.1% chance to win. The Giants have a 50.9% chance to win. So this is at San Francisco. For pitchers, Eovaldi for the Rangers has an ERA of 2.64 and a WHIP of 0.75. And Verlander for the Giants has an ERA of 5.47 and a WHIP of 1.5. So, yeah, this ERA, that's not good for Verlander, given his career, given how good he's been throughout his career. That's not a good ERA for him. You know, despite his career, despite the fact that this is at San Francisco, I think the pitching advantage for the Rangers will give them the win over the Giants tomorrow. NBA playoffs, round one, game three. So, first game is Boston Celtics versus Orlando Magic. So, Celtics have a 66.5% chance to win, and the Magic has a 33.5% chance to win. This is at Orlando. Boston's up 2-0, so they won the first two games. And yeah, with how well the Celtics have played, and compared to Orlando, despite it being at Orlando, I think Boston's going to win tomorrow to go up 3-0 in the series. All right, Indiana Pacers versus Milwaukee Bucks. So, Pacers are up 2-0, having won their first two games, and they have a 44.7% chance to win, and the Bucks have a 55.3% chance to win. So this is one of the closer series, and it's at Milwaukee, which is why Milwaukee, you know, has a higher percent chance to win. And yeah, this is a close series, and I think home field advantage will give Milwaukee the win tomorrow over Indiana to cut the series to 2-1. All right, Los Angeles Lakers versus Minnesota Timberwolves. So this series is tied 1-1. The Lakers have 49.8% chance to win, and the Wolves have 50.2% chance to win. So this is another one of those closer series with Doncic being with the Lakers, but the Lakers due to in recent years they do not play consistently well in the playoffs. Or that is LeBron James's fault for turning it into a grandpa team. And this is JJ Redick's first year as a head coach. And the home field advantage is not going to help the Lakers. Could they carry some of the momentum from game 2 into game 3? Sure, they could, but I think this could be more like game 1 for them, where will the Wolves will win this game, I think, and go up 2-1 in the series. College baseball. So first game, Clemson, NC State. So Clemson's 2, NC State's 25. So at the time of recording this, NC State is ahead of Clemson 8-4, bottom the fifth, game 1. So if NC State hangs on to win, they could go in tomorrow to potentially clinch the series over Clemson. This is at NC State. That's very possible. I think Clemson will get revenge tomorrow to even the series out. Right, Florida State, Louisville. So Florida State's 4, Louisville's 19. So this is another ranked versus ranked ACC matchup with the higher ranked team being the visitor. And so, despite this being at Louisville, I think Florida State beats them to get to go up 1-0 in that series. All right, Oklahoma, Georgia. So at the time of recording this, Oklahoma's up 2-1, bottom the fifth in game 1. So Oklahoma could go tomorrow with a chance to clinch the series, or Georgia could go ahead to potentially clinch the series tomorrow. Depends on what happens tonight. But I think with it being in Athens, it's not a big baseball town. I mean, it's not. That really hasn't been since they were probably last in Omaha. But I think home advantage could still help them, and I think they get the win over Oklahoma tomorrow. All right, Georgia Tech versus Virginia. So Georgia Tech is ranked 24, Virginia's unranked, but their record's still pretty good. This is at Tech, so that's gonna help, the Yellow Jackets this week, unlike last week when they went to Miami and got swept. Yeah, that was that was embarrassing. So yeah, I think with it being a home game for Tech, I think they beat the Cavaliers tomorrow. Let's see, Arkansas versus Florida. So Arkansas is ranked number 5, 36-7. Florida's unranked at 28-15. So one of the better records for a unranked team. This is at Florida, very hard place to play baseball at if you're a visitor. But Arkansas, given how well they played, I think they'll go in and get the win tomorrow. All right, Mississippi State versus Auburn. So both are pretty close in record. Auburn's ranked number 11. This is a home game for them. Mississippi State, historically pretty good at baseball. If this wasn't Dewey Noble Field, I would consider picking Mississippi State. But with it being at Auburn, I'm picking the Tigers. All right, LSU, Tennessee. This is the biggest series of the weekend. Tennessee 6, LSU 7. It's at Baton Rouge. Basically, both teams have the same number of wins, but LSU has one more loss. This is a big series. And I think with it being at Baton Rouge, LSU is beating Tennessee. All right. Vanderbilt versus Ole Miss. So is this at Oxford? Vanderbilt's 9, Ole Miss is 23. So while Vanderbilt's higher ranking would give me reason to consider picking Vanderbilt, I think Oxford, the way that field is, the way the home field advantage is out there, I think that gives Ole Miss the win tomorrow. All right, Texas versus Texas A&M. Texas is ranked number 1 in the nation. A&M is 24-16, so a good, record for a, unranked team. in-state rivalry. Thankfully, that's coming back in football. But this is baseball, so we're going to talk about that. Yeah, I think Texas is winning. Like, they're beating the Aggies tomorrow. All right, Oregon versus Oregon State. This is the in-state rivalry. Oregon State's number 3. Oregon's number 13. You know, interesting they were able to keep this with all the conference realignments, which is nice. It's nice to keep the big rivalries. And so, yeah, this is at Oregon, and Oregon State's, very good baseball team. Very good. I think, with it being at Oregon, I think Oregon gets to win tomorrow. All right, UCLA, Penn State. UCLA is ranked number 15, 29-11. Penn State's unranked, 25-14, so pretty good record for unranked. This could be an interesting series, but it's at UCLA. I think UCLA beats Penn State tomorrow. And that's it for picks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my picks. Do you agree with them? Do you not? If you have different picks, you can put them in the comments. But other than that, please like, subscribe, and all that. Thank you for listening, and look forward to the next video.